Welcome back to Comics and Crossbows. This is Frank, and this is a special edition of Comics and Crossbows. We're going to be looking back at the 9-Volt Anthology. This is the first issue. June marks the 1-year anniversary since we put this book out. So we're just going to be looking back at some of the art, some of the stories. I'm just going to go briefly through some of the stories. I'm going to critique one of them. And I'm also going to share a little bit behind the scenes of just what went into making not just the anthology, but my story in particular, Captain Courage. So this is the very first appearance of Captain Courage. He's on the cover right here. And the very first story of Captain Courage. So we're going to go into that. But before, just want to show my cool crossbow here. This is the one that I added this wrapping in another video of Comics and Crossbows. So we're just going to keep this here for now, and let's get to the story. Alright, so here's the 9-Volt Anthology. Like I was saying, this is volume 1. So marking the 1-year anniversary, so I think that's pretty cool. First I want to say thanks for everyone involved in this book. Thank you for letting me be a part of these anthologies. And but now I'm gonna rip it to shreds. Okay, so I just want to show off the cover. So I'll be making more just acknowledgments, things like that, pointing a couple of things out, showing some mistakes. Mostly, I'm just gonna be focusing on my own mistakes and maybe just some behind the scenes stuff here and there. So this is the first appearance of Captain Courage here on the cover, here in this comic. So if you follow Captain Courage, you should pick this up. So this cover was done by Guzman, and that name sounds familiar. It's because he's been mentioned on this channel quite a few times. He does the mini comic bundles. He also did Year 2019 and Inktober Story, which I reviewed on an earlier episode of Comics and Crossbows, actually the episode right before this one, the same week. Like I said, this is a special edition of Comics and Crossbows. He did a great job with the cover. I like the purple here and with the yellow outlining the purple 9-Volt lettering here. I really like this lettering. It's really cool. I like how it kind of just pops out. This logo with the purple hue here. I think it's like violet, not violent. This was done by Len Jennings. I'll be leaving a link to his Instagram. Everyone that I mentioned, everyone that had a part in this book, I'm gonna put their sites and their infos in the description below, so you can check out their social medias, websites if they have any. So all that should be in the description below. So Len Jennings, he made this logo. I wanted to point that out. I think he did a good job. I like this how it's a building. So I think that's pretty cool. I think it fits the theme for the superheroes. I think there are some buildings in this book. I've done graphic design, so I know something simple like this can seem simple, but there's probably just a lot went in it, I'm sure. Or he could have just done it in a short amount of time. But either way, he put time. He took time. And he made this logo, and it made it on the first 9-Volt Anthology. Now since then we have a new logo. I do like that one a little bit better. I think it fits the current anthologies, but I think this one fits this one. And like I said, just want to give a shout out to Len Jennings. Big thank you for creating this logo. You are a part of the first 9-Volt Anthology, even if it's just a small part like a logo. But I think that's still pretty cool. So thank you for your part in this. Alright, so let's show the back cover, because the back cover was done by R.B. Tower, and we're going to get into just the behind the scenes, some fun facts. So, fun fact, Marsh was running a little late with his projects. He has some other projects. So he was running a little late with the story, so there was a chance that he might not would have submitted the story in time. Now he did, but if he hadn't, this would have been the back cover. So Captain Courage would have been here instead of Expando. But I'm glad Marsh made it. I do like his Expando story. I was just a little bit disappointed, but it's understandable. He is the the founder and creator of the Triple League Discord. So we got a story here by Dale, aka Shy Guy, and if that name sounds familiar, that's because Dale has been a guest and host a couple of times on the Turaco Creative Cast. He's also the moderator, or one of the moderators. And here our retard, he did his homage to Jack Kirby. He put here after Kirby. We got some cool stories here in the back. Like I said, Aaron Guzman he did the cover for Volt Anthology. Again, if that name sounds familiar, also it's because I mentioned Aaron a few times on this channel. All right, so we open up, and this is the first real critique, not really story-wise, but just here in the acknowledgments on this info. We got people mentioned here. We got Aaron Guzman mentioned for his cover, RB Tower mentioned for the back cover, Cheryl Presto for editing. We got Peter Seckler here. He organized the 9-Volt Anthology, so I'm going to give a thank you to Peter for putting all this together. I'm sure this is a lot of work. All our names, the stories that we contributed, all this legal stuff, but no mention of Len Jennings for making the logo. And even though his story is here and he has a bio on the back, I don't see any special acknowledgments to Marshall Lee for allowing this anthology to grow and keep going within his server. Some minor points. I believe in giving credit where credit is due. You know, someone did something, you know, hey, acknowledge it. Alright, so we're going to go quickly through these stories. I'm not going to go through each and every one of the stories. I am going to be criticizing a few things. Most of it is just going to be stuff that I did, but there's going to be a couple of things here and there that I will mention. Like I said, this is a look back, looking back at my own art, looking back at what could have been done better, either on my part or just here in the book in general. But mostly it's going to be just focused on stuff that I did or contributed. Alright, so right off we got here Rabbit Fighter by Peter Seckler. So a little bit more of the behind the scenes. Here you got Peter's little byline here, story and art by Peter Seckler. And like I had mentioned, RB Tower had done the after Kirby. So this was stuff that I was still learning, and I hadn't put in my story this story and art by Frank Salazar. I think I might just put my name, but I didn't put like specific details. When I saw that Peter did this, like, oh, I should go back and do that. So Peter, that was I got that from you. I learned that from you to always put story and art by, and I learned it from RB Tower to give credit of the illustrator before when you do an homage like this. So that stuff I learned within the server. And I will be talking a little bit more about that as we get to Captain Courage. First I want to show off some of the art. I like the use of screen tones here. I like how Peter used some of that screen tones as shading. So that was something that I was wanting to learn, because I would see people using that. So I was wondering like, oh, like that's cool. I wonder how that's done. But I just learned just by watching, by just looking at stuff like this. I just didn't really want it to blend in, but I guess you can just make it a little bit lighter. I think that's cool. Like I said, I'll point out like stuff that I like. There's not really a lot of stuff that this I don't like how this looked, or this was done bad, and nothing has stood out like that to me. Not yet, maybe. Looking back at this, maybe I don't know. All right, we got a full shot here of Rabbit Fighter. Got another full shot here, another full shot here. Another here, here, and here. This is also one of the 22 panels that always work by Wally Woods. So we got a silhouette here. Actually, I got two silhouettes. So this was a rule that I had learned from Russ Leach in one of his videos, where he said that you want to put at least I'm not sure if it's like one page or one panel per story, but you want to have a shot of your character, just like a full shot. So here we see that Peter has 3 on this page, and he's got here and here and here also, and we also got this guy here in full. So that's something I've noticed, that Peter is kind of stickler with the rules. I like to break them when I can. That's me. I might be a little bit of a rebel when it comes to that. Alright, I said I like the screen tones. I like the use of screen tones. Mostly he just uses that for his shading. At least in this story, that's what I've seen so far. Alright, so we're going to skip ahead. Because, you know, it's all this. I think this could have, if Peter wanted to, he could like just print this on its own as its own issue. A standalone. So we got RB Tower here again. He did Thunderzon and Lightning Bug, and here, you know, after Turaco. So he's giving credit. I think I also did see that in a video by Scott Strickland. I don't remember which I've seen first, but I know I learned it around that time. He was actually doing the Making Comics 101 as I was learning to make comics for this anthology. So I want to point out this the sharp art here, the contrast. You know how the darks kind of just stand out a bit, especially here compared to this fire sword. It's pretty cool. I like how RB does just the dark lines around everything, around the panels, the lettering, which I'm not sure. I think he does his own lettering. I could be wrong. He might use fonts, but I think some of this looks like it's lettering he does on his own. I think this he did, like definitely he did this by himself. Like it's his own creation. So here I like just the way it stands out. It's just black and white, but it's it pops. All right, so let's skip ahead. Speaking of popping, again, I like this the contrast, the black and the white. I might do a panel. I'm not that proficient in inking like this and using negative space. Try something I should learn, or I'll practice more of. But yeah, so this is the Tell Initiative by Dell, aka Shire. Like I said, he's one of the honorary hosts, sometimes co-host of the Turaco Creative Cast, and also a moderator. He does a good job moderating, so give him a shout out. So Dell has said a couple of times that the Tell Initiative is modeled after Scooby-Doo, so you can see some of that reference here, and my voice kind of turned to Scooby-Doo when I said that. We got the, this will be the Mystery Machine equivalent. I think also he also got some inspiration from X-Men. Just add a line here and you got a big old X. That's cool. Oh yeah, I forgot to show this. I'll show this panel. I like the way that Dell does the rain here. Just like, oh, it's a dark and stormy night. There's rain everywhere. And here it's in certain places. Here's it's light. So I think that's pretty cool. I like the way he does that. Just capturing nature. I have the tendency of drawing each tree, and then like, oh man, I think this is just easier. All right, so let's skip. We got a Marshall Lee story here, so I do want to point this out that Marsh used part of his turnaround for Expandle as his divider page, and this turnaround template, not this design itself, but the template that he used, it's from Scott Circlin's Comic Maker Toolkit and Starter Kit. You can get the Starter Kit for free when you sign up on his newsletter. Put in your name and you get it free as a file in your email. And I use that kit quite a few times. I use the Starter Kit. I also use the Pro Kit and some of the other kits that he's put out before. So I use those in my comic making. So I just want to give a shout out. It's a cool character design that Marsh did. So we got the gradients, again his use of backgrounds, like it's a cool little building background. And here just got little lines, so that's pretty cool, using like some speed lines. Okay, so I like this this shot of just Expando, just and holding the guy. Hold on. Like. So he's like a Plastic Man and Elastic Man, but you know he expands, hence the name. All right. So I do want to point out this panel here. I like the way Marsh did this. It looks like a screen tone overlay. Could be an overlay. I'm not sure. It's kind of like a very subtle, but you got the character here popping out, so that's, you know, you look right at the character. Let's get some dynamic shots here. It's pretty cool. Got the X for the Expando suit. All right. Okay. So here, this cool splash page, again showing his full character, and these bursts, line bursts. We got this cool character here. There's a villain, the Block. Oh wow, it's pretty cool how it's like part of the building. Nice. Alright, so let's skip. We get to the Muck. And the Muck was done by Jacob Moore. And more Muck, please, Jacob Moore. So the Muck is modeled after something. It's an homage, or it's inspired by something. So this guy becomes the Muck, right? Does he? Alright, nope, actually, yeah, he already is the Muck. Where is Karen? So he's got some cool powers. Alright, let's skip ahead. Oh cool, I like this shot. Alright, so we got Scarab Force. We got the divider page there. This guy is here on the cover, and also I think this is also from. I'm not sure if it's from Scarab Force or one of his other characters, but you know what? There's a guy here. So he's got quite a few characters. Peter did these. Rabbit Fighter, Prometheus. I mean, those are his characters. The Scarab Force. What are you, an egomaniac, Peter? Alright, so let's go through this quickly. I like this bug design for the ship. I've come to appreciate and like bugs. So I can appreciate a cool bug design of a spaceship. Alright, so now we're going to get to Captain Courage. Now we're going to start ripping this story to shreds. And one thing I will criticize, I will point out, I did do this logo. I think this was an image that I had posted up in the server. But it was it wasn't a like good quality image. So you can see some of the feathering here. Anyways, so yeah, Peter decided to use it for the divider. I think he had shown to me, and I didn't really like how it looked. I have the original files on my computer, so I did redid the divider page, and I added a cool panel here from the comic. But you know, Peter turned it down. He just used this one instead. So that was something I did want, but it wasn't necessary. And Peter used his veto power. Now here is where I fought Peter. This is where I was very insistent on having these elements here in this cover page. I don't remember if I had done the logo. If that might have already been on there. I made these changes. I forgot to put a scripture that I wanted up here. So there's says here Joshua 1:9. And that, you know, that's talking about being strong and courageous, and you know, it's Captain Courage. Well, Captain Courage comes from the scriptures. He is faith-based. I mean, you can tell by the cross on his chest there. So I did want that scripture in there. I did make it too small, so this is on me. I made the font too small. I think honestly at the time I thought it might have been rejected, so I made it small to kind of sneak it in there, but I made it too small where it's very hard to see. And also here I did want art and story by Frank J. Salazar, and like I was saying, I got that from Peter from looking at his stuff. See? So I learned that I learned that from watching you, Peter. And here I did add, after Jack Kirby, I did want to add that in there. Like I said, let's give credit where credit's due. I know where this came from. This is from Captain America. And if I didn't do that, I knew I would have been called out. So I wanted to pay tribute to that. And these are characters. These two characters are mentioned. This is Crimson Samaritan and this is Lieutenant Liberty. Lieutenant Liberty is mentioned, I think, in the second page here, and these bubbles, the dialogue bubbles. This is Crimson Warrior. She's not mentioned. Crimson Samaritan is mentioned on the last page in a word bubble. Also, Great Canuck is mentioned, and that's in the second anthology. I introduced Great Canuck. So, and that's from the past. That's set in like the 50s or back in that time. All right, so those characters will be appearing in the second part of this story. I am going to continue it, and I'll probably reprint this, and I might have to redo some pages, but there's stuff I want to fix, like dialogues. But there's stuff I'll probably keep the same. So okay, here. So let's rip into the art. we got here. I think I already did with the screen tones. I was still just getting the hang of it, and still getting the hang of it. But I think I use them a little bit better now. But yeah, so this is something just showing that it's night. So some dark shadows here, which I opaqued. So there's like shading within the shading within within the shading. So this brush that I use, and it's the same one I use here, but I just enlarged the size of it, and so I was able to cover up a little bit more. But here it looks like a bush. Look like there's just two bushes here on the building. So that was pointed out to me. And it was actually Anna Raub. She gave me an honest critique of my story, because I had asked her what she thought of it, and I told her be honest, and she was honest. So now I don't use this brush anymore for shading. I use it mostly for for bushes. And even then, I actually don't use it that much. So here's an error that I saw that I did. This was I think it was like a panel or like one of these squares. It was from something else, and it was just kind of stayed over in a layer. And I guess I had erased part of it, so I think it was like panel. Not too sure, but I forgot to remove it, and I merged everything, and so I couldn't take it off afterwards when I saw it. And actually, I didn't even notice it till after the book was printed. Some of these mistakes I didn't really notice, like the screen tone's too dark. And yeah, I didn't notice these until after it was printed, just because I think these print a little bit darker. Got the speed lines here. Oh yeah, I do want to point out, I think it's in Rabbit Fighter, Peter uses speed lines in an interesting way in one of his panels. Not that one. Here. So yeah, I like how he uses here, and this guy is opening the door here in the back. So I like that. I thought that was cool. Again, screen tones, use them too dark. We're still kind of learning to use them. This character here, it's just a random girl. I don't think she's gonna make another appearance except for here in this panel. I tried to draw her a little bit more distinct. So here, it just looked like a different person. I left it in. Oh yeah, no one has pointed this out to me, but I saw it. Yeah, just the way the legs are, so that came out a little weird. Like I've noticed this after the fact. Like, oh yeah, that actually doesn't look that great. Here it looks like he's flexing. It's like, yeah, check out my muscles. Come on, scumbag. So the thug, his face changes a few times, so he's got a baby face here. Yeah, here I think I drew the legs a little bit too big, especially here, his feet. Like so, it looks like he's turning into a giant. I should have added a little shadow here. But, this is not. I do have a critique on this. This is not my favorite panel. I made a lot of mistakes here. I think around this time, I was just kind of like trying to. I was in crunch time, so I was just trying to get this out. So I made mistakes. I was hoping it was just something that it wouldn't really like it would just kind of like fly by without being noticed. So I do have a critique on this. So I mean, my art first, like I did the arm too big here. So he has got a big old Hulk arm here, and it's not really. Here it looks like he has a skinny arm. The fingers, I drew them a little bit. Yeah, they're too weird. the knees, I drew them too low. This was pointed out to me also by Anna. And when she got to this, like, oh, she's going to point it out. She's actually the only one that's pointing it out. But I saw this right away. I think I was just, like, trying to get it done. But, oh, man, this was my least favorite panel. My least favorite image. So yeah. So I'm saying this because I got another critique. And that critique was also out of my control. This wasn't my control, but... it was kind of like the divider thing. So, all right. So, like I said, my least favorite panel. Actually, if I use the word hate, I mean, I don't hate it, but it's man, I don't love it. Peter used it as my bio picture. Oh my god! And then he changed the art. He altered it. Oh my goodness. I do like that he fixed the arm, so it's not as bulbous. Got the veins, which I thought added character, but the gauntlet is weird. It's different. It doesn't have the screen. It's his time gauntlet. So, and then he drew another arm here. He's kind of crossing his arms. Oh man, this would be one of my main poses that I would do all the time. And I was trying to get away from that, and he put it as my bio. Now I do my own. I make sure I have all that stuff beforehand. Yeah, I mean, like, I drew the arms kind of, the thumbs here kind of wonky. But I think this is fine. That's the police station. I don't know if that's clear, but yeah, it's the police station. He's being teleported there. Got the hospital here. Now we're getting to the second part of the story. This is where it's mentioned in the first page. You know, he's on a mission. So this was his main mission. So this is a hospital, and it's not just some random hospital or just some random building I drew. This is a hospital that exists. This is actually. This was the hospital that my mom was at towards the last of her days of her life. She didn't pass away in this hospital, but she was moved from this one to a nursing home, and she passed away there a few days later. But this is where I would visit her a lot. I know this lobby well. I visited her during her last days there. So I just wanted to kind of capture that. So from here on, it's a tribute to my mom. And all right, here's something I didn't point out. But the spelling, I don't use this spelling anymore. I only used it in this panel and in an earlier panel. Only in this book. I don't use that spelling anymore. I just don't like how it looks. I think just having somebody spell it the way it's spelled works. I was going more for a comic-y feel, but no, yeah, I don't like it. And Ephesians 6:13. So it's the armor of God. Right here, so these word balloons. That's where I did the fonts way too small. I did the word balloons too small too. It's one of the downsides because I did most of this on my phone actually. I think I did all of this on my phone, and I added the text on laptop. But as I did mostly digital, so I was just kind of zoomed in all the time, and I don't think I ever pulled back and looked at it how it would kind of look as a page here. So that's one of the downsides to using only digital. Yeah, if I ever do reprint this, and do want to reprint this so I can continue the rest of the story, I'll probably have to go back and redo. I might have to redraw some of this art, at least some of the top part here, and I'll be redoing the bubbles. But Crimson Martin is mentioned, also Great Canuck, in this panel, I think. So here's my mom. Got Got my mom here in the hospital. Kept encouraging visiting my mom. There's a picture here. You can see here, it's my grandfather. So this is my tribute to my mom and also to my grandfather who fought in World War II. And he passed away years after coming back from war. He lived a long life. But I wanted to honor both of them. Alright, so we got Prometheus Powers. We got Prometheus Powers. Again, this is a Peter Seckler story. I like I like his lettering here. These must have taken a while. Alright. So we're just gonna skip through most of this. Alright, so this is the last story, Sentenced to Save by Jason Alexander. I like what Jason did here. It's all done through just pictures, just illustrations, no words except just the title and stuff on the banners here. Man, I like the dark contrast. Here is space. All right, I don't want to show too much. It's a short story, but I think it's a good story. I like this. This is cool. All right, so here we get to the bios. All right, so here we got RB Tower. RB Tower lives in the desert, drinks bourbon, draws comics, walks his dog, does yoga. And here we got Peter Seckler. He lives in Maryland, where he creates a constantly expanding universe of astonishing stories and characters. And oh, there's the crossbow. Comics and Crossbows. I do want to say, even though I did pick out a few things where me and Peter butt heads during this anthology, I have nothing but respect for the man. He puts a lot of work in these anthologies. It's 4 anthologies in total that he's done so far. I think we are on the 5th one. That's the manga one. So I just wanted to make that clear. And here we got Dell. Dell is from Washington State. He likes to write fiction, draws comics, and obsess over a certain dark night. And like I said, all their information I'm going to be putting in the links below. Jacob Moore is a comic creator from California. He grew up creating comics as a child and always dreamt to be a comic book creator. Well, you succeeded, Jacob. You made it to the 9-Volt Anthology. Make more comics. Frank Salazar lives in the hottest part of the Rio Grande Valley. He loves Jesus, his family, his friends, and making comments. He is comics, not comments. Although I do make comments. He is constantly creating. You can email him at, and got my email there. You want to email me? Jason Alexander. So here, this is where talks about the story. Beacon Sentenced to Save has been released with no dialogue as a tribute to victims of race-related violence. Jason Alexander uses his platform to craft comics of all kinds. Sometimes comedic, sometimes horrifying, but always thought-provoking. So this is a cool coincidence because Jason here, his bio is right next to Aaron Guzman. And after this anthology, they teamed up and they do the mini comic bundles together. The first bundle was done just entirely by Aaron Guzman. After that, Jason took on the writing duties. So that's pretty cool. They're a team right here. They're a team before they became a team. So we got Cheryl Presto here. She edited most of the stories here, if not all of them. I'm not sure if she edited anything on mine. I don't think so, because I don't think I turned in anything to her. Just because the way I did that story, and I do most of my stories and something I'm working on, I just kind of like write it as I go. But she's got her websites here, and I'll be putting those in the link. Got Marshall Lee. I like what he says here, so I'll read part of it. Marshall Lee is all about comics since a very young age. He got addicted to the excitement of the panels and pages in the exploring world of creator-owned stories. All right, so now it's time for Marshall and his friends in the AAA community to share their stories. You misspelled there. Sorry. With the world as we make comics, not excuses. Now, where have I heard that before? Oh, where? Here's again, Aaron Guzman, his info here. He's a graphic artist. Cool. All right, so now we're gonna get to more of the behind the scenes stuff. I got here the notebook where I did most of the pages. I think I have another notebook, or it might be in some of the pages here where I did the cover. Actually, you know what? I have it on a sketchbook, which I believe. Here it is. Here's a sketchbook. This is the first page. This was gonna be the cover, so I had the name written out here. This was gonna be the cover for Captain Courage. Yeah, but I saw that you could do splash pages, and I saw that like it could be like something cool. That's when I saw. I was looking at the Captain America picture that I have on my wall, and I decided to do that as an homage. So here's the original sketch. This was actually, I did want this as my bio, so I was going to put that image there. But Peter said no. I understand why, though, because it does take a lot of time. Each time he has to change like one thing, he has to redo the whole folder. So I do understand why at a certain point he was like, no, you're just going to have to live with those changes. So here, here's the pose that I was doing. Captain Courage. And show. Okay, and here we got Great Canuck. All right, so yeah, so this was page 1. Well, actually, this was going to be page 1. I ended up turning it into page 2. Once I decided what my cover was going to be, so I just kind of moved those down the line. And there's I turned this into a comic strip. First, I just drew it out here. All right, so this is where Captain Courage is teleporting and he's stopping this robbery. Which did I had a bandana? I don't think I. Yeah, I don't think I had the bandana in the final pages. Just a very rough of that scene where he's punching out the thug, which I already done this illustration. I think like this part of the story where he knocks out the thug. I had already done that illustration. I had gotten this pose from making comics the Marvel way, and I used it as an illustration. I think I used it for Inktober, and I like how it came out. So I was like, this would be great in a comic. So I used it for this panel for this story. There you go, another page here, and there's one more here. All right, so this was the actually I think it came out a little bit better here in proportions. So I don't know why I drew it all wonky. I think it's just, I wasn't in a rush, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna finish it. But yeah, this was the panel that I didn't really like in the final product, which I kind of like this one, but Yeah, so yeah, that's it. Also, right now, looking through this, there's another comic in here that I started and never finished. I think this is like gonna be, yeah, just 2 pages. So yeah. So yeah, this one is done. I need to do this one. I think I was gonna redo this on the computer, so I was gonna switch the panels. Uh, and I think I wanted to get a better pose of him jumping, like kind of like not jumping, kicking, and knocking out the thug. And so this is gonna be here on top. This is gonna be here, and then like, I think I was gonna. I don't remember what I had planned for here. I think I was just gonna put like an ad, because this is gonna be kind of like an ad for water. so so it was gonna be like a little fake ad. So and this is for the Pope. It's Great Canuck. So I got a little sneak peek there. Or not a sneak peek, it's that one's already finished. Alright, so that was looking back at the 9-volt anthology. I'm going to switch views right now. Alright, so like I was saying, this is the 9-volt anthology. Looking back and ripping into one of these stories. Well, my story, the Captain Courage story. This was fun, actually, looking back at my art. I do have another video planned. I'm probably going to do that next week. I did want to do it as part of this video, but I knew this video was going to go out longer than I actually wanted it to, because I was going to be going through the whole thing, and also showing some of my old pages. But I want to go look at some of these panels, redo the art, and I'm going to title it Redoing Bad Art in the 9-volt anthology. So there's a couple of panels that I might do one or two. There is one panel that sticks out to me that I do want to redo. Also, there's the Captain America picture that I have, and that's the cover for Captain America's big premiere issue, and that's what I used. That was my inspiration for the Captain Courage cover. Alright, so like I said, I do want to do that video, so that's going to be next week. Just redoing some of the panels. I'm also thinking of just doing something similar that I did with this one. Just looking back at the other 9-volt anthologies, though at least the ones that I was a part of. I wasn't a part of the Cosmic Unknown. Actually, I don't have a copy of that one yet, but I will get a copy, and I can review that. But if that's something you want to see, just me going back at some of the other ones and just just sharing a little bit behind the scenes, just looking back at that. There are some stories in the pulp that I want to take a better look at and just show that a little bit more in the video. If there's stories here that you kind of want me to just go into a little bit more, hey, just let me know in the comments below. I'll do some special videos, just like looking back more in depth into some of the stories. Mostly I just wanted to show Captain Courage, just kind of looking back at how it started in comic form. I do have some old sketches. Some of those were in the sketchbook, so that's something I can show later on. But which actually I'm gonna be doing another video, just kind of looking back at some things. So I'm gonna be showing some of the mini comics that I have done. So that's gonna be a part of it, showing some of the Captain Courage stuff. So that might be coming up pretty soon. So yeah, if you want me to go back at the Pope, I showed some of that, one of those pages. So and there, like I said, there's a story in there, a couple of stories in there that I want to showcase just a little bit more. So if you want that, where I do a series of this, just reviewing the 9-volt anthologies, hey, I'll do it if there's interest. If you are interested in seeing that, let me know in the comments below, and I will do those as a series of videos. There's a lot of talent that went into this book. There's professionals in here. I think everyone here, once your story got in here and once it was published, hey, that's professional in my book, in this book. Alright, so like I said, thanks for watching. Leave a comment, leave a like if you like this video, share this video out, share it on all your social media platforms. And again, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time. Like Captain Courage says, stay courageous.